and Nizamuddin Ahmad written a Tabakat-e-Akbari, and the well-known historian Badauni also wrote the book about Muntakhabut Tawakarit, and Jahangir's history was Tujk-e-Jahangiri, and Abdul Hamid Lahari, who was court historian of Shah Jahan. He also wrote about Padshah Nama, and Muhammad Kazim. He wrote about the Munkab ul Labad, and Ishwar Das. So Ishwar Das also a Hindi poet in Muslim court. So he has also wrote the book Fathat-e Alangiri. Oh, like these are the Aurangzeb's auntie also wrote the book about Gulbadan Begum, Humayun Nama, and these type of chief texts are main sources of Mughals history during the Mughal period. They are explained about the administration of Mughals. Mainly, the Mughal administration depends on the morals and ethics. The Mughal administration, several reforms taken by the Mughal administrators like Akbar. The Mughal administration differed from the administration of Delhi Sultanate. So, in the Mughal rulers introduced a new army policies and war strategies and economic policies, revenue policies, and they taken administrative reforms, and they are introduced a foreign trade, the skills of foreign trade. So like that, they are established so many reforms done by them. So the Mughal emperor was benevolent, and despite who always carried the welfare and happiness of his people. Mainly, just like we take that example, Akbar's rule. Akbar was he think about all the people were his sons and daughters, his children, like his children. That's why he taken the very good welfare, introduced the very good welfare schemes and reforms, and he denied that social evils during the medieval period. And from the beginning of Babur to Aurangzeb, these Mughal rulers taken the so many reforms, and they are not except Aurangzeb. They are did not show any type of religious discrimination in India. So this administration was in the hands of emperor. Emperor was the supreme in the empire. So mainly after the death of Babur, Humayun unstable in the throne. After recapturing of the state or empire, there is no time to introduce the reforms in India. So, like that, after the death of Humayun, Akbar ascended the throne, became a emperor. He was took so many reforms behalf of the welfare schemes like Sher Shah. In the Sur dynasty also established very good reforms in administrative reforms done by the Sher Shah. So the Sher Shah was director to the Akbar. Emperor only the chief supreme in the empire and in the state. The central government was very mighty. He was the emperor was the lawmaker and executive, the commander in chief also. So finally, he behaved like a chief justice. He was considered himself as a viceroy of God. So the God is first ruler of the empire. Then his follower was emperor. So that's why they are believed on God. They are explained, believed in the theory of divine rights of king. Divine rights of king. So, if we take the Mughal court, Akbar during the Akbar was introduced that Jaroka Darshan or Tuladan. Jaroka Darshan or Tuladan, both are practiced in the court of Akbar. In the morning, the Mughal emperor gave the Jaroka Darshan to the people and he practiced that. He was in that Jaroka Darshan, he was listened the problems and issues of the people from the people, and he gave the justice and he gave the awards to the legally and morally. These practices, emperor was inspected the Munsabda troops also, and the foreign ambassadors also visited in the court. So he received them and he contributed the some of the gifts or prizes. So the emperor conducted the meetings with his ministers in the place of Diwan-e-Khas. This is the beautiful building in Delhi Sultanate. So the Diwan-e-Khas used as the court of ministers meeting hall. The emperor was discussed with the ministers internal and external policies of the state. Mughal emperor worked very hard and attained all these subjects. There was no legal limit to his power. And he was several ministers appointed by him and removed by him why they are neglected in their duties. So there was a legal advisors called as the ministers. All the ministers appointed by the emperor, he was appointed without cause and removed without cause. The mighty powers handed over by the emperor. Next, after the emperor powers, after the emperor, the second place was occupied by the prime minister. Prime minister called as various names like Wakil e Mutlak or Wazir or Diwan. So these three types of names used in the Mughal court as a prime minister. So next to the empire, the prime minister was occupied an important role in the central government. By the virtue of this office, he was the protector of the state and over and above all the ministers with the right of appointing and dismissing of them. The prime minister was given work of the Divan land and later on Divan was titled as a Wazir or Prime Minister, the or a Wakil. So ministers, all the ministers were supervised by him. Those who were working under his control, he uh, appointed them and dismissed them when they are neglected their duties. So the second power, all the second powers, the all so many hidden powers are there. So the chief in the supreme in the central government after the emperor, the occupied that duty, all the duties done by this prime minister or wakil, wazir or divan. The next place was occupied by the Divan-e-Ala or Imperial Divan. Divan-e-Ala. So he was in charge of revenue and expenditure in the state. He introduced that budget and he prepared the budget and he allotted the funding to the all the departments in annual. He maintained the annual income and the annual expenditure. So the most important in the state was Divan-e-Ala. That's why he inspects all the revenue records and possessed orders of payments. He carefully observed all the important revenue transactions in the state. He recommended and appointed of provincial divans. Provincial divans means the provinces or princely states or the subas. The divan was he commanded on appointments and removals. He supervised and guided them in the work of the provincial governments. So many these held by the so many ministers. The all the ministers among all the ministers glittered as some of the people like Muzaffar Khan and Raja Todarmal and Shah Mansur. So these fellows are glittered during the Mughal court and in revenue administration. Next place occupied by the Mir Bakshi. Next place occupied by the Mir Bakshi. So he was the commander in chief. He was in charge of all the army departments. So he recruited soldiers. He supplied the food to the soldiers and he supplied to the armies all the articles and grains. So he trained to the soldiers and he kept registers behalf of the entrance of the names and the ranks and salaries that all the records, Mursabdar's records maintained by him. He inspects the horses, elephants, which were used for the security and wars. Mir Bakshi presented the soldiers and horse of the Munsabdars before the emperor. He deputed the Munsabdars for the security of the places, forts, and the state. He maintained all the important records pertaining the army. So he was the key. He played the vital role in the at the time of warfare or battlefield. So he expected the opposition of enemy soldiers, and he prepared very good soldiers, and he maintained the records, and he maintained the what is the artilleries, and he maintained the cannons. So Mir Bakshi was very most important in played the most important role in Mughal administration. Next place occupied by the Sadr Us Sadr. Sadr Us Sadr was played a religious role in the Mughal court. He was like a endowment minister. He looked the charity, religious education, and contribution of Jagirs to the eminent scholars, and observed the Islamic law only. He observed the Islamic law only. He also assisted the emperors, appointing the Sadrs in provinces. Sometimes, when the emperor was absent, he played the chief Qazi roles, or the chief justice in the central government. So next position was held by the Qazi ul Qazat. Qazi ul Qazat. He was the highest judicial officer. The chief supreme was emperor, but also he was the second rank position. He held the second position in the court of Mughals. He assisted the emperor in the important cases. He appointed qazis in the different provinces and all the districts in the state with the permission of the emperor. He maintained the Islamic law very strictly in the central government or the provincial governments. He held the state and central governments. So the next position was Muhtasib. Next position was held by Muhtasib or Muhtasib. He was head of the moral and ethical department. So he was held the position. He prevent the immortality and to suppress practices inconsistent with the principles of Islam. He was also kept control over. He was kept overweights and mismeasures, and observed the articles were sold in the markets and proper prices. He was assisted by the provincial muhtasibs. So all the measurements and all the weights under his control are in trading association. So along with the chief ministers, along with these ministers, the other ministers also supported to the emperor. Besides the above mentioned ministers, there were other ministers also engaged the central administration during the Mughal rule. The ministers such as the Daroga-e Dak Chowki. You know well, Dak Chowki. So Dak means post office. The Dak Chowkis. So he maintained that Daroga a Dak Chowki was maintained the post office, and he acted as intelligence minister, just like CBI. So the second minister was Mir Atish. Mir Atish. So he was in charge of artillery. He preserved the cannons. He taken the gunpowder and he preserved the gunpowder. So all these the cannons, the artillery maintained by the Mir Atish. Next, the position was held by the Mushrif, the chief admiral officer of the harbors. The harbors maintained by the Mushrif. The another Mushrif also is there. The Mustafi. The next minister was Mustafi. He was Auditor General. He looked over upon the empire's audits and the general audits. So all these ministers were assisting to the emperor in the state affairs only, the central government affairs only. The Mughal rulers were very actively engaged in the administration, and they were run the administration in a single hand. In a single hand. So the salvation of the regional problems, they are established the provincial governments. The provincial governments held by the provincial administration, the most believable provincial administrators were appointed by the emperor. So, for the sake of administrative convenience, the Mughal Empire was divided into provinces, and it was called Subas. The chief of this Suba is Subedar. Subedar. The gradual expansion of the empire during the Akbar ruled his successors. The number of provinces were increased by the ruler to ruler. So during the Akbar rule, there are 15 provinces only. During the Akbar rule, there are 15 provinces only, but they are increased in Jahangir's period. They are 17. The provinces under Jahangir was 17, and the 22 provinces, the highest provinces under the control of Shah Jahan. The 21 provinces under the control of Shah Jahan rule, and the 21 provinces under the control of Aurangzeb, respectively. And then after the regional revolts are occurred, the latter Mughals are not maintained properly. That's why the administration was going to be declared. In the provincial government held by the Subedar, the province was called as the Suba. The Subedar was the chief administrator in the Suba. So he was appointed by the emperor. He was very good believer to the emperor, and he representative of the emperor in the province. So all the officers of the province were under the controller of Subedar. Subedar was enjoyed a high mansab in the state, was assigned a big jagir with the province. Big jagir with the province. He had to maintain the efficient and big army with him. He appointed, promoted, and dismissed all the officers in the hands of Subedar. So he maintained law and order in the Suba. The Subedar suppressed the revolts and punished the criminals and enemies. He have powers only limited by the financial powers of the Divan. Otherwise, he enjoyed all the powers regarding his province. Land he maintained the land order, the territorial. He was the boss of the territorial government or provincial government. Next, in the convenience of administration, Suba administration, Divan was appointed in the Suba. So he was the financial officer in the province. He appointed by the emperor behalf of the recommendation of Wazir, who was the central prime minister. So he was not a subordinator to the Subedar. He enjoyed the equal rights along with the Subedar in economic affairs. So he directly controlled by the Wazir. Divan collected the revenue and other taxes from the people in the province. He examined all the agriculture, irrigation, and the provincial area. He examined the accounts and revenue records. Divan disbursed the salaries to. He supervised all local revenue officials. So, next position held in the Suba was Bakshi. Bakshi was the in charge of provincial army department. He was appointed by the emperor on the recommendation of Mir Bakshi, who is chief in armies of the central government. He was commander in armies in the provinces. He kept the registers. He recruited the soldiers. He supplied the food and other articles to the army and gave the training to the army. He maintained the names, ranks, and salaries of the Munsabdars, and he recorded the progress of the Munsabdars and as well as the soldiers. He was inspects the horses, elephants, and artillery, so and other things. Bakshi was presented the soldiers and horses and Munsabdars before the Mir Bakshi, who was deputed the Munsabdars for the security purpose. The places, forts controlled by him. He maintained all the important records pertaining the armies in the provinces. So next position was held by the Wakia Navis. Wakia Navis or Wakaya Navis. So he was the officer in charge of the correspondence of records. So he maintained the internal affairs of the Suba. He was head of the spy department in the province, the provincial government. So he sent the reports of all the affairs and functions of the all officers, including Subedar and Divan, to the emperor. So he appointed his subordinates in the provinces too. Next position occupied by the Kotwal. Kotwal was a officer, chief officer of towns. The towns maintained by the Kotwal. So Kotwal was held the first position in the capital city, along with all the territorial cities in the empire. So the Kotwal, he was appointed a central government. He was a police officer who maintained the land order in the cities. Another provinces. He controlled the trade and commerce. So he made all the arrangements for the comfort of the living of foreign travelers and foreign guests in the cities. After the central government, the second position was state government. The state government called as the Suba. The Suba also divided into number of districts. The districts was named as the Sarkars. The districts was named as Sarkars. So every province divided into many Sarkars. The Sarkars were the central administrative parts in the district. So the district administration was held by the Fauzdar. Fauzdar was the executive officer. He maintained the law and order in the district as that Sarkar. His main duty was to maintain the law and order in the Sarkar. He followed the emperor orders. His main duty was protect the rules and regulations in the court or in the Sarkar. So the another officers also appointed along with him, as he also required to the help of revenue officers in the Sarkars as Amal Guzar. Amal Guzar. So the district administration was held by the general administration was held by the Pravin Fauzdar, and the revenue administration was held by the Amil Guzar. Amil Guzar. So he observed the land and land survey and cultivation, production, and the trade and commerce, and the land revenue taxes. For the assistance of the Amil Guzar, there was a officer Bitikchi. So he prepared all the papers against the land and peasants with the support of the Kanungo. So the main revenue officer in the Sarkar was Amal Guzar. Amal Guzar was supported by Bitikchi. Amal Guzar was supported by Bitikchi. The Bitikchi and Amal Guzar depends on the records of Kanungo. Kanungo was record assistant to the district officers or Fauzdar as well as the Bitikchi, Amal Guzar. So Kanungo was kept the records of the quality quantum of the land position of every year and every cultivator. He gave the receipt to them. who paid the taxes of the revenue cultivation. The another assistant of the Amal Guzar was Khazanadar. He maintained the Khazana, and he was kept all the treasury. According to the instructions of the central government, he sent to the revenue to the imperial treasury. The district treasury sent to the imperial treasury in the among the restrictions and instructions of the central government. Next, the position was held by the Paragana. So the first central government, then after Suba government, then after the Sarkar government, then the Taluk government. The Taluk government called as Paraganas, Paragana administration. The Paragana administration was held by the Sarkar, and the administration of Paragana, Shikdaran. Shikdar, mainly, he was the military officer. He maintained the law and order. He was the chief administrator in Taluka or Paragana. So he helped the revenue officials in the collection of revenue. Amil was the finance officer in the Paragana or Taluka. So mainly the Paragana administration was held by the Shikdar. So Shikdar assisted the Amil, who was a revenue collector in Paragana. So the land order maintained by the Paragana officer was Shikdar. So Amil was the finance officer in the Paragana. He collects the revenue from the cultivators, and he maintained the treasury in the Paragana. So Fauzdar or Potedar, Fauzdar or Potedar was the treasurer of the Paragana. He maintains the treasury administration. He prepared the agriculture records in the Paragana. He was head of the village patwaris. The village patwaris also revenue officers in the Mughal court. Village officers was Paragana. Sorry, village officers was patwaris. So in this regard, the city administration. So discuss about the central and capital city was held maintained the land by Kotwal. So like that, the city administration, another cities, all the cities maintained by the one of the Kotwal. So the Kotwal was the city officer. He maintained the land order and provide and protection to the traders, foreigners. He protected from the thieves. He maintained the large number of soldiers in the city. He was observed the municipality works in the city. He was observed the municipality in the city. So the last administration was village. The village administration was under the control of village panchayats. The panchayat looked after the security, sanitation, education in the villages. The land order was maintained by the Chowkidar. The village law and order was maintained by the Chowkidar. So the revenue administration maintained by the Patwaris. So when the revenue collection times, the Chaukidar helped to the Patwari. So both are the maintained the land orders and revenue administration in the villages. Next, we are going to the army administration or military administration. So we know about the central government. The armies are maintained by the first principally maintained by the emperor. The Mughal emperor was the powerful in army. The army got military administration was very good position in the Mughal court. So they are introduced to the Munsabdari system or Mansabdari system. The army got many victories in several battles from the beginning of Akbar to Aurangzeb, and the Mughal rulers practiced and participated and led the armies in the battlefields. Babar was the brave soldier, and also he defeated powerful North Indian Rajput clans. So he laid the foundation for the Mughal Empire. So afterwards, of course, it was declined a small gap among the founders and the real founders. So next, the Akbar and Aurangzeb expanded their armies, expanded their empire with the powerful armies. They were defeated both of North India as well as the South Indian rulers. They are defeated. Several battles in North India and South India, different parts of India were different strategies for the defeat of the enemies. So they are followed and they are introduced that Mansabdari system. Mansabdari system. There was no division of the civil and military functions of the state during the Mughal rule. The soldiers performed the various police and civil duties, police and military duties. They defended the borders as the guards to the forts and participated in the battlefield and maintained law and order in the state. So simply what we are saying that the armies are held the all the land order positions and they are just like they done the police duties as well as the military duties. They are the security duties as well as the spy duties. So the Mansabdar system was greatly founded by the Akbar. So the Akbar was the Mansabdari system. The word Mansabdar derived from the Arabic word. The Mansab was Arabic term, means a post, a officer, a rank, or a designation. The Mansab means a designation, a post, a rank, a what is that? A officer. So the Munsabdars were different types of Munsabdars. Those who are maintained for the 10 soldiers to 10,000 soldier Munsabdars are there. So they are given the Zats and Zagirs to them. Zats and Savars and Zagirs to them. So the main rank of the officers, Mansabdars, classified into 66 grades. Mansabdars were classified into 66 grades. From the Mansabdar, uh, 10 members of soldiers to 10,000 soldiers maintained by the small Mansabdar as well as the huge Mansabdars or the big Mansabdars. But in a practice, only 33 grades existed. Every Mansabdar maintained his own armies. He maintained own armies. Looked after the recruitment, training, discipline, arms dress of the soldiers. Mansabdar mostly recruited the soldiers their own class and their own caste. So the Mansabdars were divided into three classes. Those are the grades. They are given the grades. From the 20 to 400 were called Mansabdars, while the grade from 500 to 2500 Mansabdars were called Umra. 500 to 2500 who maintained the Mansabdars were called Umras or Umra. And the grade from 3000 and above, Umra-e-Azim. Umra-e-Azim. So those who are maintained that large number of soldiers, the huge Mansabdars were called Umra-e-Azim. So the highest of the highest rank, the highest holder of the Mansabdar was Amir ul Umra. Amir ul Umra. So, what is the means of Zat and Savar? What is the means of Zat and Savar? Zat indicate the number of soldiers under the Mansabdar who was expected to the keep of Savar indicate the number of actually maintained by him. The Mansabdar whose Zat rank and Savar rank were equal. A single horse, a single soldier. There is no difference between the double horse single soldier or single horse double soldier. There is no differences between the Zats and Savars. Equal Zats and equal Savars. The first those Mansabdars whose Savars rank was half or more than half rank of their Zat rank, and second class Mansabdars and those whose Savar rank was less than the half of the Zat or had no Savar rank. So those are also third Mansabdars. Those who are maintained only soldiers, but there is no horses. Those fellows are ranked lower. So Zat maintained the soldiers, Savars maintained the horses. So a very good position of the Mansabdars were they are maintained the equal Zats, equal Savars. But some small Mansabdars were maintained like a large number of soldiers, but there is no horses. So they are going to be least ranked. So the position of Dhakalis and Ahadis. The position of Dhakalis and Ahadis. The Dhakalis were fixed number of troops given to the charge of Mansabdars by the but paid by the state. The remuneration paid by the state. The Ahadis were the soldiers recruited by the emperor himself. So they were to act bodyguards of the emperor. The Ahadis, The Ahadis were bodyguards of the emperor or bodyguards of the provincial subedars. So just like bodyguards means Ahadis. So Dhakalis were the real soldiers of the border territories, and they were entered into the battlefield. Of course, all were entered into the battlefield, but some of the people protected as a bodyguards, the officials as well as the emperor. So next, the cavalry. Cavalry was the best part of the armies in the Mughal Empire. So the Turkey and Taji horses were more in the cavalry. Besides these, there were Arabi, Parsi, Muzana, Yabu, Jangla quality of horses. What is the types of horses? Listen here. The Turkey horses. They are classified by the horses. The soldiers, those who are used in the battlefield, the battle horses were the Turkey horses, the Taji horses, and those more than these horses in the Mughal court. Afterwards, sometimes they are recruited some soldiers. They are bring the another Arabian horses, and Persian horses, and Muzana horses, and Yabu horses, and Jangla horses. The soldier who had two horses with them called Do Aspa. Do means two. Aspa means horses. Do Aspa. And there is the soldier have the only one horse. He is called one Aspa or Ek Aspa. One horse is called Ek Aspa. Do Aspa means a single soldier maintained the two horses, that is called Do Aspa. So next we are going to the infantry. The Mughal emperor was organized the sufficient infantry in his court, in his empire. Sufficient infantry. So the foot soldiers were divided into two parts, such as the riflemen or banduki. Riflemen or banduk or banduki. And the second one is Sham Shiraz. Second means Sham Shirbaz. So the second one is swordman. Swordman means a sword. And other than sword is, it is better to say, other than sword is the bandukchi. The swordman was called the Shamshirbaz. Shamshirbaz is swordman, and bandukchi was other than they also used the bows and arrows and javelins. Bows and arrows and javelins. So mainly the Rajput clans were used that javelins perfectly in North India. So we are discussed about them already previously, who was used that Rana Pratap Singh, Rana Samran Singh, Rana Uday Singh, just like that. Rajput clans are perfect in javelin throw. So next, the Mughals were largely maintained that artillery. The Babur came to India with the good park of gunpowder with the artillery. So you know very well. Babur have only 12,000 soldiers and a Firangi department. So he fought against the Ibrahim Lodi, who was having the 1 lakh army. Who was having that 1 lakh army? The 12,000 soldiers, along with the artillery, they are defeated the 1 lakh soldiers. So that's why Ibrahim Lodi was defeated. So here, the very good maintenance by the Babur, and that was strengthened by the Akbar. The big gun prepared during his reign, Akbar's rule. The artillery of Mughals had certainly improved much during the reign of Akbar. So the Mughal emperors having that the territory. So the navy also maintained by the Mughal rulers from the Akbar to the last Mughal ruler also maintained that navy. So the Portuguese had acquired the mastery over the Indian waters, and you know very well uh, the Portuguese were entered into the during the Mughal rulers. The Indian rulers to organize the strong navy. Therefore, the navy of the Mughals could never match the navy of Europeans. So that's why the Tabla-e-Adal also maintained the land order along with the empire. So the revenue administration held by the Akbar. So meeting those are discussed will tomorrow. Thank you, one and all.
సార్ నంబర్ పెట్టరా ఒకసారి?
సార్ వెళ్ళిపోయారా? సార్ వెళ్ళిపోయారు.
ఒకసారి నంబర్ పెట్టమన్నా సార్.
సార్ వెళ్ళిపోయిండు. ఎవరికి నంబర్ ఇవ్వలే కదా, అడిగినాం కదా, మెసేజ్ పెడితే ఏం రిప్లై కూడా ఇవ్వలేదు, ఎగ్జిట్ అయిపోయారు.
అదే నేను కూడా అదే చూస్తున్నా. ఎందుకు ఇట్లా మరి? మనకి డౌట్స్ ఉంటే మనం ఎట్లా అడుగుతుంది? ఒక క్లాస్ లో అన్ని క్లియర్ గా చెప్పాలి కదా. రేపు ఉంది అంటారు క్లాస్ మళ్ళీ. ఎవరి దగ్గర నంబర్ ఉందా సార్ది?
ఎవరి దగ్గర లేదు, నా దగ్గర కూడా లేదు.
అందరు నంబర్స్ వీళ్ళు చెప్తే బాగుంటది, కానీ మనం డౌట్స్ ఉన్నా మళ్ళీ ఎట్లా అడుగుతాం వీళ్ళు దేని గురించి అని మళ్ళీ కాల్ చేయాలన్నా కానీ. రేపటికి లాస్ట్ కదా క్లాసు?
రేపటికి లాస్ట్, మళ్ళీ 24th నుంచి ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఉన్నాయి.
ఫిబ్రవరిలో కదా ఎగ్జామ్స్?
అవును.
అదే ఇప్పుడు రేపటికి లాస్ట్, డిసెంబర్ జరిగినాయి. డిసెంబర్ మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు ఈ రేపు కంప్లీట్ అయిపోతుంది కదా రేపు. హలో నంబర్ పెడతారా ఎవరన్నా మీ సార్ది? హలో